Alice was getting very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank. She had nothing to do. Once or twice she looked into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversations? She was thinking, the hot day made her feel sleepy, if making a daisy chain was worth the effort of picking flowers. Suddenly, a white rabbit with pink eyes ran close by her. Alice did not think it strange to hear the rabbit say to itself, oh dear, I shall be late." But then the rabbit took a watch out of its waistcoat pocket, looked at it, and hurried on. Alice jumped up. She had never seen a rabbit with a waistcoat pocket or a watch. Very curious, she ran across the field after it. She was just in time to see it go down a large rabbit hole under the hedge. In another moment, Alice went down after it. She did not think about how she would get out again. The rabbit hole went straight like a tunnel for some way, then it dipped down suddenly. It was so sudden that Alice had no time to stop herself. She found herself falling down a very deep well. The well was very deep, or she fell very slowly. She had a lot of time as she went down to look around. She wondered what would happen next. First, she tried to look down to see what was at the bottom, but it was too dark. Then she looked at the sides of the well. She saw cupboards and bookshelves. Here and there, she saw maps and pictures. She took a jar from one of the shelves as she passed. It was labeled orange marmalade, but it was empty. She did not want to drop the jar and hurt someone below, so she put it into a cupboard as she fell past it. Well, thought Alice to herself, After such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs. How brave they'll all think me at home. Why, I wouldn't say anything about it, even if I fell off the top of the house. Down, down, down. Would the fall never end? I wonder how many miles I've fallen by this time, she said aloud. I must be getting somewhere near the center of the earth. Let me see. That would be 4,000 miles down, I think. Alice had learned about this in school. Even though no one was listening, it was good to practice. Yes, that's about the right distance. But then I wonder what latitude or longitude I've got to. Alice did not know what latitude or longitude meant, but she thought they were big words to say. Then she began again. I wonder if I shall fall right through the earth. How funny it'll seem to come out among the people that walk with their heads downward. The antipathies, I think. She was happy no one heard her say antipathies because it did not sound right. But I shall have to ask them what the name of the country is, you know. Please, ma'am, is this New Zealand or Australia? She tried to curtsy as she spoke. And what an ignorant little girl she'll think me for asking. No, it'll never do to ask. Perhaps I shall see it written up somewhere. Down, down, down. There was nothing else to do, so Alice soon began talking again. Dinah'll miss me very much tonight, I should think. Dinah was the cat. I hope they'll remember her saucer of milk at tea time. Dinah, my dear, I wish you were down here with me. There are no mice in the air, I'm afraid, but you might catch a bat, and that's very like a mouse, you know. But do cats eat bats, I wonder? Alice began to get sleepy. She kept saying to herself in a sleepy voice, "Do cats eat bats?" Do cats eat bats? And sometimes, do bats eat cats? She could not answer either question, so it did not matter which way she said it. She felt she was falling asleep. She had just begun to dream that she was walking hand in hand with Dinah and saying to her very seriously, "Now, Dinah, tell me the truth. Did you ever eat a bat?" Suddenly, thump, thump, she landed on a pile of sticks and dry leaves. The fall was over. Alice was not hurt. She jumped up at once. She looked up, but it was dark above. Before her was another long passage. The white rabbit was still in sight, hurrying down it. There was no time to lose. Alice ran very fast and was just in time to hear it say as it turned a corner, "Oh, my ears and whiskers, how late it's getting!" She was close behind it when she turned the corner, but the rabbit was gone. She found herself in a long, low hall lit by lamps hanging from the ceiling. There were doors all around the hall, but they were all locked. Alice walked down one side and up the other, trying every door. Then she walked sadly down the middle, wondering how she would ever get out. Suddenly, she saw a little three-legged table, all made of glass. There was nothing on it except a tiny golden key. Alice first thought it might belong to one of the hall doors, but the key was too small for any of the locks. On her second time around, she saw a low curtain she had not noticed before. Behind it was a little door about 15 inches high. She tried the little golden key in the lock, and to her great delight, it fitted. Alice opened the door. It led into a small passage, not much bigger than a rat hole. She knelt down and looked along the passage. She saw the most beautiful garden. How she wanted to leave that dark hall and walk among the bright flowers and cool fountains. But she could not even get her head through the doorway. And even if my head would go through, thought poor Alice, it would be of very little use without my shoulders. Oh, how I wish I could shut up like a telescope. I think I could if I only knew how to begin. So many strange things had happened lately that Alice thought anything was possible. There was no use waiting by the little door, so she went back to the table. She hoped to find another key or maybe a book of rules for shutting people up like telescopes. This time, she found a little bottle on it. Which certainly was not here before, said Alice. Around the bottle's neck was a paper label with the words, "Drink me," printed in large letters. It was easy to say, "Drink me," but wise little Alice was not going to do that quickly. "No, I'll look first," she said, "and see whether it's marked poison or not." She had read stories about children who got hurt because they didn't follow simple rules. For example, a hot poker will burn you if you hold it too long. And if you cut your finger deeply with a knife, it usually bleeds. She never forgot that if you drink from a bottle marked poison, it will almost certainly make you sick sooner or later. However, this bottle was not marked poison, so Alice tried a taste. It was very nice. It tasted like cherry tart, custard, pineapple, roast turkey, toffee, and hot buttered toast. She very soon finished it all. What a curious feeling! Said Alice. I must be shutting up like a telescope. And it was true. She was now only 10 inches high. She was happy because she was now the right size to go through the little door into that lovely garden. But first, she waited a few minutes to see if she would shrink more. She felt a little nervous. For it might end, you know. Said Alice to herself, rather sharply. I advise you to leave off this minute. She often gave herself good advice, though she very seldom followed it. Sometimes she scolded herself so strongly that it made her cry. She once thought about hitting herself for cheating in a game of croquet she played alone. This curious child liked to pretend she was two people. But it's no use now, thought poor Alice, to pretend to be two people. Why, there's hardly enough of me left to make one respectable person. Soon her eye saw a little glass box under the table. She opened it and found a very small cake. The words, "Eat me," were clearly on it, made with currants. Well, I'll eat it, said Alice, and if it makes me grow larger, I can reach the key, and if it makes me grow smaller, I can creep under the door, so either way I'll get into the garden, and I don't care which happens. She ate a little bit. She said worriedly to herself, "Which way? Which way?" She held her head on her head to feel if she was growing. She was quite surprised to find that she stayed the same size. This usually happens when one eats cake. But Alice had seen so many strange things happen that it felt boring for nothing to change. So she started to eat and very soon finished the cake.